I've been thinking about is Phantaminum or Phantaminum? I can't actually remember. I know I used to say it wrong, but I was thinking about this, and I have to come clean. The more that I think about this recently, I'm not actually I do know why it's top of mind, but I'll get to that later. I actually think it is not a good decision to not have him be in the story. For those who don't know, he is the number one ranked person in the tower. He's an Axis. You can look at my video. I explain what that is and talk about Phantom Minimum and everything like that. But if you don't know, Phantom Minimum is technically an outsider to the tower, but an outsider to the Tower of God story in general, from the standpoint of he's in some other narrative where he's transcended it and basically came into the Tower of God narrative. Because for most people, some people might not know this, but SIU was trying to create something called the Tales User Story Universe. Phantom Minim is a character in the general interconnected universe, but technically is not from Tower of God. And I want to talk about why I actually think he should be in the story and why it's integral, especially if SIU still cares about the TUS. And let's talk about it. It don't matter though. Young nigga from Canada, rap from that bullshit and go like a matador. First of all, he is mentioned in the story, in case you don't remember. Yuri speaks about his kind of onslaught at the palace and just thinking he was a disgusting fellow, and he pulled up on Jihad, kind of saw him and dipped. So Phantom Minim is known as the Riddle. He just came in the tower, he kind of wreaked havoc, and no one can stop him. Even Eureka was chasing after him, and the Ranking Administration Bureau basically told him, you don't stand a chance. And you guys know how much of a monster Mazzino is. And they were like, you'll get smoked. It's kind of funny. Like, I almost think of it as somebody who broke into a prestigious league, like maybe the NBA or like the Premier League or something. And it's like, you're really good, like you're a superstar, but like that's Jordan. Like, calm down. Like you're good, but you're not him. You feel what I'm saying? So the reason that I think is actually quite integral to the story is because he's already been mentioned and he's already been in the narrative and he's ranked number 1. That is a very, very, very crazy ranking to have, especially despite the fact he hasn't done much and he's kind of inactive and he's still number 1. He's above Enryu and Jihad and Urek Mazzino. That's significant. You can't downplay that. Second, I don't know what you guys believe is supposed to and will happen at the end of the Tower of God narrative, right? Some people believe Bam will become an Axis, right? And let's just use that headcanon for a second. You don't think introducing another Axis a la Fanta is a good kind of segue to probably maybe creating that for Bam, and maybe he transcends the Tower of God story, and if SIU writes the next story, we're going to call it Tower of Devil. No, the Devil's Ground. See, we went up, now we're going down. Okay, Devil Ground, right? And Bam is in it. You'd have added and greater context, and you would know that. And it would be interesting if somebody who's reading this story doesn't know about Tower of God, and they can go to Tower of God and learn about Bam's journey into becoming Axis and how he basically left that story and went into another narrative in the interconnected universe. I kind of almost want to say, like, for anybody who's having a hard time following this, think of the MCU with self-contained movies they're all interconnected because they take place in the same whole universe. Yeah, Asgard is in another realm, but Earth is one of the 9 realms, right? So there might come a point where a god of thunder from Norse mythology might meet Tony Stark, billionaire, philanthropist, weapon and creator, inventor guy, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is that I think at this point it's too important to the grander scope and the grander narrative, and I think that if an Axis is demonstrably stronger than the most powerful of our regulars in the tower, you should probably showcase that in some way, shape, or form. I don't even necessarily think he has to have some huge grandiose role where there's like an entire arc where we focus on him, but like show me that even if every single family had teamed up together and used their ultimate attack, he'd be like, no. Like, no. I want to see that. And it's not just a power scaling thing, by the way. Again, the TUS, the Tales User Story Universe, is something that SIU was is thinking about still doing and making. Most likely, I haven't seen any comments or interviews or blog posts with him denouncing that. Which, and if you don't know, there are some earlier stories before Tower of God where he has written some stuff about it. So check that video out if you haven't seen it, where I kind of read one of them. But at the end of the day, I can admit that a lot of it is just me wanting to see him 100%. I can admit that. I want to lie to you, but the more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, he's already been introduced to some degree. I don't think you can be like, actually, take back seas. I don't. I'm gonna. I guess you can retcon it, but nah. Especially because Yuri is also has seen him. I think it's significant, and I would like Yuri's kind of more like more in-depth opinion on that if she actually saw him do anything. Jihad saw him face to face. Jihad is gonna act like it never happened. Like, I want to see him talk about it, where he's like, maybe he knows that he can never be the strongest because he's already looked in the eyes of a true absolute monster and demon that he could never hope to defeat. You get what I'm saying? I'll stop rambling, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's a better story decision for Phantaminum? Like, I might be saying it wrong, but do you think it's a good idea for Phanta to be in the story? Do you think what we have is enough? Would you be okay if at least we got it through a blog post or something? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section below, and have yourselves a mighty fine day. I'm gonna be out.